Aiesha with the Mayan calendar forecast for the date of July 30th. And right now, we're going into an amazing cycle of the mind. And this is all about perception and how we are able to see not only ourselves and who we truly are and how we were truly created to be, which sometimes is a little bit obscured because of the education we receive and the different feedback we get from the adults in our world when we are tiny little babies and they tell us different things about ourselves, which is pretty much just their opinion based on their own life experience. And yet a lot of the times we as tiny children absorb this like beautiful little sponges and we end up creating an internal dialogue that is made up of the voices of our grandparents, our parents, our teachers, and different people that influenced how we see ourselves and how we interpret our nature. So right now in the inner self we are navigating through the cycle of Cimi, which is death, transformation, letting go, and it is a community minded sign that relates with friends and family and relatives. So, in the personal sphere, right now, it's a time to perceive more clearly how we see ourselves and also be able to see how the way we describe ourselves to ourselves and how we judge ourselves influences the way we see other people and how we describe their actions as being good or not so good. So, with the World Bridger, it is all about perception. And since this is all about perception, we are meant to dive into connecting with who we were when we were tiny, perhaps even before we started speaking to ourselves. I know many of us don't really have very good recollection of our childhood, and many of us don't really remember lots of stuff before the age of 10 or 9 or something. I personally remember a lot. I remember when I was 1 year old. I remember when I was 6 months old. But that is very strange for most people, and I know most people don't have that and might be from trauma, whatever, but it really is irrelevant. The whole thing with the World Bridger is about being able to connect again as adults with all the amazing things we used to do when we were little that used to bring us a sense of time standing still, a sense of absolute well being. And so we are born with lots of amazing talents. Pretty much every single aspect of ourselves is an amazing talent. And with the World Bridger, it's kind of like if we are raised to feel that certain aspects of ourselves are not so cool or desirable, like perhaps I'm a dancer and I always want to move and I'm really energetic and have lots of spontaneous thirst to move and to express myself. And what if I was born in a family that likes things to be ordered and quiet, and maybe in that kind of scenario I would be perceived or I would be told that my movement energy is really not desirable and that I am too hyperactive. Maybe nowadays they would diagnose me with HDHD or whatever and give me pills so that I would just chill and relax. But maybe if I'm not tapping into my natural movement talent, I am not bringing all my power and light and amazingness into the world, and I'm not being able to meet the people I would meet were I dancing. So it's kind of like because of the passed down lineage of self-judgment, which great grandpa passed on to his kid and then that kid to the next kid and the next kid and the next kid, and we end up giving an inheritance of self-judgment to the next generation because we are not allowing ourselves to live the life we were really born to live. So with this energy, it's kind of like by reducing the experiences we seek out in life and not allowing ourselves to be completely honest with all the things we want to experience and the way we really want to be. It's like if we were a Swiss Army knife and we had every single gadget in the world that you could ever imagine, but we were told that they were all unnecessary or not good or immoral, and that we should only use the magnifying glass and the tweezers and the knife, and all the other things that we possess we don't use. And so this time of the World Bridger is a amazing period to be able to dive into what is this thing, maybe add some little thing to get the raw stuff and to be able to start taking classes of different things and be able to investigate many different aspects of ourselves that we don't usually use. And yes, maybe at the beginning it's stuck in there, or it feels uncomfortable, or we get awkward, or we are really insecure and we think we're going to look stupid or something. But in the end, the whole thing is that, like, once we begin to flex these muscles we haven't been using for a long time, and we begin to investigate and check out different areas of life, and we begin to make new friends and meet new people, and as long as we get to do the amazing things that we like to do, then we're not really going to have a lot of time to be sitting around criticizing other people. So this is a time of being able to come home to ourselves, to really perceive who we really are, to perceive how we were born and why we were designed the way that we were designed, and how we can extract the beautiful blessings out of all the many different talents that we possess. But sometimes we don't perceive these things as talents because we haven't been using them in so long. So many of the talents that we possess are not necessarily talents of creativity or being able to get things done or working with our hands, but they can be talents of our spirit. They can be talents of cleansing and purifying. Maybe many of us have a capacity to be able to cleanse ourselves with the wind, or maybe come back into our center by spending time in water, or being able to hang out with the trees, or lay down on the grass and let the cool breeze wash over us, and look up into the branches and see all the beautiful twinkling rays of sunshine coming through, and maybe spending 45 minutes doing either of these activities is like a profound meditation. It's like maybe sometimes even better than a 2-hour yoga class. And so many times as children, we had a natural connection with nature that was medicine for us, medicine for our mind, for our body, for our spirit, for our emotions. And by stepping away from nature and living in the more civilized world, we sometimes disconnect from natural connections that we were born with, that were there for us to be able to keep ourselves balanced and to keep ourselves fed, and to keep ourselves being able to purify ourselves, just like all of natural systems purify themselves. The earth purifies herself, and animals purify themselves. Dogs eat the grass and purge. It's just like we were created with the self-healing mechanisms and with all of the balancing systems that our body and our mind and our heart naturally gravitate towards. But by growing up in scenarios where we are not necessarily encouraged to really follow our nature, we can disconnect from many things that over time can turn into a deficiency, where we're no longer taking care of ourselves the way we're supposed to. We're no longer going to the things that naturally bring us benefits and well-being. And through that, we may lose completely the capacity to stay healthy in the long run. And so by the time we're 40, 45, or 50 or something, our body starts falling apart, or our relationships start falling apart, or our capacity to create and be connected and inspired starts falling apart. And this is unnatural. This is something that isn't meant to be. So right now, in the cycle of the World Bridger, it's the perfect time to totally tune in to what are the things that I used to love to do when I was a child. What was it that I did that just made me feel like, yes, I am alive, or simply feeling totally peaceful, relaxed, absolutely not a care in the world. And this is not because the world's not going through many different things, and it's not because we're not in a super powerful stage of time and life, but because we are meant to be able to cope with all the things that are happening by getting in touch with who we really are, and giving ourselves permission to turn off the inner dialogue of grandpa, grandma, mother, father, husband, boss, whoever, and be able to really dive into the things. And many times we can start as a tentative exploration. It might not feel like a absolute certainty that I'm doing something that is right for me. Sometimes it might just be kind of like, well, like I miss this. I miss hanging out with horses, or I miss being able to, connect with those kind of people, or I miss dancing, or I miss something that hasn't been in my life for a long time. And so this is the perfect period of time to connect with that. And halfway through the 13-day period, which is around August 7th, we're moving into a completely amazingly connected aspect of this energy, which, so we're in the world bridger right now, and this is all about perception and the mind. So it's a very abstract time. It's all about how we perceive ourselves. And then August 7th, we move into the cycle of the amazing, playful, beautiful, spontaneous, powerful, transformative, seeking out all many different experiences of the storm. Not so long ago, we went through the energy of the storm in the outer self, and that was a lot about transforming and exploring new ways to focus our service to the world, our profession, our work. There was a time to revamp our um, our thing that we do and be able to custom design it for it to suit us more and more and more. And now we're moving into that energy, but within the inner self. So this will be a time to maybe do a little bit of remodeling in your room, in your house, in your kitchen. This is about personal remodeling, maybe going and getting some different clothing and being able to like adjust your image, or adjust your shoes, or adjust your car, or just tweak the aspects of your world so that they suit you better. And so through having gone through this amazing, powerful self witnessing and allowing ourselves to really dive into the things we naturally were born to do, then we are meant to afterwards go into take on the task of transforming our physical world, of making sure that all of the nooks and crannies that are cluttered, all of the different things that no longer serve us, all the different little, like even books I haven't read forever, or maybe things that no longer interest me, or clothing that doesn't suit me anymore, or maybe I need different colors, or maybe I need to be investing time in hanging out with different groups of people and exploring different aspects of life. So with this energy of the storm and transformation, this is the amazing time to sort of step into being an architect designer of our inner physical world, and at the same time venture into exploring many different relationships with all kinds of different people, and being able to go into all sorts of different scenarios, from the most beautiful pristine natural scenario to the most deep urban city scenario, to the most professional, to the most bohemian. All different aspects of the world and life we're meant to be connecting with after August 7th. And that is going to be a time for really getting to work, like getting our hands in the mud, and really, like grabbing the sledgehammer and busting down that wall, just so that you can put in your perfect window that will allow the morning sun to come into your room, if that is what you desire. Every single one of us is different. Every single one of us has particular aspects that benefit us and that make us feel empowered and really connected and amazingly supported by our physical environment. And so this is the amazing time to be able to decide for ourselves, because obviously no one else can know this for us. We are the only ones that know what works. And by having limited options, we cannot make an informed decision. This is a time to really research and get out there and find out what are the different things that you can put and invest in your world, so that you will be able to live in an environment that is really designed and catered for you. Now, in the outer self, this is a cycle of the mirror, which is Etznab. And Etznab also represents the pyramid. And Etznab is a really amazing energy that brings us in contact with meditation, contemplation, absolute silence, stillness, solitude with nature. And so, even though this is in the outer self, this implies that even though usually our service to the world and the way we work here in this third dimensional reality It's a lot about getting things done, answering the phone, connecting with people, having meetings, doing this and that. And yet, this time is completely about going away from everything and everyone in order to be able to see situations more clearly. And so this is the time of the mirror, and there will be lots of reflection. Many people will be bouncing their reflection off each other, and many of us might not realize what we're doing. And therefore, it might be a period of time where there could be a tendency to point the finger at someone else and say, you, this, that, whatever, but really, I'm actually looking in the mirror and that finger is pointing right at me. Anything I perceive about other people, if I am feeling impatient, then I will think someone else is being really slow. And I'll start feeling like, hey, why are you being so slow? Move it. But what parameter am I basing my attitude on? It's like, who says they should be faster? I am the one that's feeling impatient. I'm the one that's feeling frustrated. That doesn't mean other people are not doing things properly. It just means that I am frustrated. But obviously, in this life, we haven't necessarily been raised with the capacity to take responsibility for how we perceive things. And this is the perfect time to come into taking full responsibility for what I perceive. So if I think things are not working outside, I get to see in myself where that little, where are the things being put together that makes me jump to that conclusion that things are not being done well. Perhaps it's not that things are not being done well. Perhaps I am not doing things well. Perhaps I'm not doing what I really want to do. And so the way the mirror brings its medicine is by inviting us to retreat into nature and to spend time absolutely by ourselves, contemplating the stars or contemplating the sea or the forest or the little creek or the hummingbird drinking from the little feeder, and by really immersing ourselves in total nature with no books, no smartphones, no tablets, no computers, no friends, no distractions, but just opening. This is an amazing time to really activate our communication with the divine, to be able to expand ourselves and expand our heart. And it's almost like when we are in nature, we're meant to really hug the universe with our feelings, be able to really expand ourselves, to try and really feel all of the different farthest aspects of the universe. And this is something anybody can do. It's really not difficult. We are unlimited beings of infinite power, so there's really no boundary. We are infinite beings, truly. And so this 13-day period is about being able to really connect with that infinity which we are through our mind and through our perception, and be able to speak with the divine and connect with the divine, and be able to activate our creativity and be able to confront all the things we are doing that are blocking our inspiration, are blocking our harmony, are blocking our capacity to really take care of ourselves well. And also to be able to perceive, when we're looking at the stars at night and there's all the beautiful crickets and the amazing shooting stars, and you see a UFO or something, and we wonder about the planets, about the galaxies, and we see the Milky Way, and everything is amazing, fantastic. The rainbow, the colors, the smells, the breeze, all of it is absolutely marvelous. And that is our mirror. We are meant to go out to nature to cleanse our perception and to purify ourselves and to be able to see who we really are. Just like when we look at a person and we're actually seeing ourselves, when we look at nature and all of its power and magnificence, we are actually looking at ourselves. And so nature is our most clear mirror. It is our most profound truth shower. And being able to see the power that surrounds us and being able to feel it and expand into it and enjoy the silence and the solitude, and perhaps converse and speak with infinity, speak with the universe, and express your gratitude, express how you feel, express all the things that you feel blessed for. allows us to completely expand ourselves beyond the limitations of judgments and shortcomings and whatever, so that when we go back into society, into the boardroom, into the business meeting, with the client, with the producer, with all of these different things, we're being able to go into it with clarity and sobriety and also discernment, so that we can really see the illusion and define the line between illusion and truth, so that we can, in any moment, if we're talking to somebody and there's a challenge or something that is just not fitting quite right, or someone's in fear or victim consciousness or feeling really aggressive, that we can totally perceive the crux of the matter. We can see where the perception is assembled that is actually creating this sort of like inner discord, so that then through the blade of truth, which is the obsidian knife represented by our tongue and our speech and communication, we can speak the truth. We can speak with clarity without creating separation, but simply defining this and this that you are thinking is only able to exist because you think and feel this way about yourself, or because you have this belief system in place. And so the whole energy of the mirror is the sort of truth coming and being sharpened and absolutely polished in our solitude and our isolation in connection with nature, so that then when we come into interactions, but also just within our own mind, we're able to create absolute discernment, so that we can know which thoughts are real and which thoughts are illusory. And with this, it's all about knowing that anything that creates separation and doubt and fear is automatically an illusion. And everything that knows that we are one infinite being of power and divine radiance, and that everything that surrounds you is infinity, and that it's all conscious light moving and weaving itself in the most marvelous, powerful ways. No matter if it looks like a traffic jam, no matter if it looks like a crowded market, no matter if it looks like a dead dog carcass sitting on the sidewalk, it's still infinity radiating with power and grace all around us. And so, this is the amazing time to totally hone our mind, sharpen our perception by being able to step away from society and all of the hustle and bustle and take time to meditate. This will be a crucial medicine for any big decision that we make right now. It would most benefit from being preceded by some solitude time in nature. And if you can't get away for the weekend, if you can't go somewhere beautiful because you're in the middle of some big time and you have all these appointments and things you gotta do, then just go to the park. Just take your shoes off. Just climb on a tree. Just really commune with that solitude and that absolute connection with everything that is. And that will bring an amazing sharpness and clarity to your perception that will enable you to navigate all of the many relationships and circumstances and challenges in such a powerful way that you really will be blown away completely. And because this is all meant to be absolutely tuned in and empowered with the connection to our communication with the divine, this is a perfect time for you to speak out loud to the universe and actually watch it respond and reply and speak to you. And this is something that we all can practice. And anytime we go and we get some time alone and we can unfold ourselves and be relaxed and at ease with the divine and just communicate and speak and listen, this is all about also tuning in to the many voices that the divine possesses. Sometimes it speaks through amazing sounds, sometimes it speaks through animals, sometimes it speaks through the wind, and through the waves, or through the stars, or through something falling. And so, this is also a time to be able to open up our perception so much that we can really move into perceiving the way that the universe is connecting, communicating, responding, and being in absolute active interaction with us 24/7. It's just about being able to go into that space and connect with that. So, I hope you guys have an amazing time, and that you really take the time to get away and to spend some time by yourself in a beautiful place, and that you also connect with the many different things that you might be longing to do, and that this is really the time to do it. So you're totally supported. Go for it. Goodbye.